Okay, let's dive in. We're about to map out one of the biggest financial journeys you'll ever take, buying or selling a home here in Ontario. Think of this as your essential guide to navigating the whole process with a lot more confidence.
So, you're thinking of buying or selling. It doesn't matter if it's your first condo or the house you grew up in, it is a huge decision. And let's be honest, the process can feel like a total maze, full of jargon, endless paperwork, and really high-stakes negotiations. Feeling a bit overwhelmed is completely normal.
You're probably thinking about getting a guide for this journey, right? A real estate agent. They can be your expert navigator, but how do you actually work with them so it goes smoothly? Well, this right here is your map. It's designed to help you understand the rules of the road so you can get where you want to go. So here's the path we're going to take. First, we'll talk about why having an agent is a good idea. Then, what happens if you try to go it alone? We'll break down that official agreement, figure out what to do when interests collide, and finally, we'll cover your rights and your safety net. Ready? Let's get started. So first up, why even bring an expert on board? Let's take a look at the real value a professional agent brings to your team.
You know, an agent's job is actually huge. If you're selling, they're your marketing whiz and your lead negotiator. If you're buying, they're your property hunter and your financial guide. They really do handle everything, from digging into market data and setting up showings, to checking out offers and getting you through that mountain of paperwork.
But it's about more than just a to-do list. There's a fundamental promise at the core of it all. Once you officially become a client, your agent has certain duties to you. And this quote really gets to the heart of it. They are legally and ethically bound to put your best interests above everything else.
And that big promise, it breaks down into these 4 core duties. Undivided loyalty? That means they are 100% on your team, no exceptions. Disclosure means they have to tell you everything they know that's relevant to your transaction. Confidentiality means your secrets are safe with them. And finally, they have to avoid any conflicts of interest. These are the pillars of your entire relationship.
It's also really important to know that there are 2 ways you can be represented. The older way is brokerage representation, where the entire company technically works for you. But the newer model, designated representation, assigns one specific agent to be your champion. This is a key difference because this new model was really designed to cut down on the chances of conflicts, which is something we're going to get into in just a bit.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the other path you could take, trying to navigate the market all by yourself. And while it's definitely an option, it comes with some pretty significant risks that you really need to be aware of. This is the single most important thing to burn into your memory if you decide to go it alone. That agent showing you a house, or the one you're submitting an offer to, they have a legal duty to work for their client, the person on the other side of the deal. They are not, and I mean not, on your side.
And that has some serious consequences. Anything you let slip, why you're desperate to move, the absolute highest price you'd pay, or the lowest you'd accept, they are legally required to tell their client. Why? To give their client a negotiating advantage over you.
Okay, so if you do decide to work with an agent, you'll make it official with something called a representation agreement. Now, don't think of this as some scary binding contract. It's better to think of it as the official rule book. It creates clarity and protects both you and your agent.
Before you even think about signing anything, you've got to know what you're looking for. So let's break down the key parts that you absolutely, positively have to understand.
You'll want to pay super close attention to these 4 things. The scope. That just defines what area or what type of property this agreement is for. Services lists out exactly what they promise to do for you. The expiry date, well, that sets the end date. And termination explains how you can part ways if things just aren't working out.
Now for a clause that trips up a lot of people, the holdover clause. Put simply, it means if your agent shows you a property, but you end up buying it just after your agreement with them ends, you might still owe them their commission. The big takeaway here? Make sure you know how long that holdover period is, because it's there to protect the work the agent already did.
All right, let's talk money. First things first, commissions are negotiable. They are not set in stone. Second, your agreement has to be crystal clear about every single fee. And this is a huge one for buyers. You can't just assume the seller's going to pay for your agent. You've got to factor that possibility into your budget.
Okay, we are now arriving at a really critical fork in the road. This is a tricky situation called multiple representation, and it is a moment where you have to make a very, very important call.
So what is it exactly? Well, multiple representation is what happens when the same agent or the same brokerage finds themselves representing two competing sides in one deal. The classic example is representing both the buyer and the seller for the very same house.
To really get why this is a big deal, think of it like this. How could a single lawyer possibly fight for both the prosecution and the defense in the same trial? It's impossible, right? They can't. It's an automatic conflict of interest.
And if you agree to it, you have to give up some of those core duties we talked about earlier. Your agent can't give you undivided loyalty anymore, and they can't give you specific advice on what price to offer or what terms to accept. They have to become a neutral middle person, which is a totally different job.
Here's the most important thing to remember. They need your permission. You can always say no. If you're not comfortable with it, you just say so. The brokerage can then suggest other options, like having another agent step in for one of you. You are in the driver's seat here.
And now for our final section. What happens if things go sideways on your journey? Well, it's really important to know that you are protected, and there's a clear safety net in place if you need to raise a concern.
The process is actually pretty straightforward. Step 1. Talk to the manager of the brokerage. They're called the broker of record. A lot of issues can get sorted out right then and there. If that doesn't work, step 2 is to file a formal complaint with RECO. That's the Real Estate Council of Ontario, the official regulator for the entire industry.
So, there you have it. You get the benefits, you understand the risks, you know what to look for in the agreements, and you know your rights. The path to buying or selling a home is definitely complex, but it doesn't have to be a mystery. You now have the map. So the only real question left is, are you ready for the journey?